talk about compound inequalities. So this statement is saying I've got two different conditions going on. I've got r plus 1 is less than 9 and r minus 3 is greater than or equal to negative 10. So if I were to solve each one of these individually, I would subtract 1 from both sides. Levi, I need you to not write. And I would get r is less than 8, and when I add 3 to both sides, I get r is greater than or equal to negative 7. So I'm going to go ahead and graph that. I'm going to say I'm talking about negative 7 and 8. Here's negative 7. Here's 8. r is less than 8. So I'm going to go over to 8 and I'm going to do an open circle and talk about when r is less than 8. And r is greater than or equal to negative 7. That's going to be a closed circle because I'm including negative 7. r is greater than negative 7. Now I'm going to say to myself, I'm talking about when both things are occurring, this and this. So my solution space is where both things are happening. The way I would write this would be like this. Get this one out of here. I am talking about a set of numbers. The specific set of numbers is all the numbers that are inside this shaded area right here. So the way I write that set of numbers, that's what this is called, set notation. We're talking about a set of a bunch of numbers. A set of a bunch of numbers when I'm talking about r. r such that r is in between these two. The way I write in between is just like this. r is less than this value, but greater than this value. So I'm going to write it just like it looks like on my number line. See that? r is in between here, right? I've got my 8 here, I've got my negative 7 here, and r is in between them. This should always be just like this. r is less than, r is greater than. Right in between them. The only thing that changes is this is saying greater than or equal to. So I've got to include negative 7. Okay, questions on that? No questions so far? All right. I want you to go ahead and try. Well, let's look at our steps real quick. I solve. That should be a no-brainer, you guys. We've been doing these for a while now, right? Now I've just got 2 different ones to solve at the same time. I need to decide if it's an open or closed circle. This one's closed, this one's open. Which direction to go in. And my final thing that I need to consider is the and condition. I need to consider when both things are occurring. If this was or, what would this look like? What would the solution be? It would be all real numbers. If it was or, it would be everything that the arrows are covering, right? But it's not or, it's only when both things are going on at the same time. Okay, so go ahead and do number 1, please. All right, so Levi asked about this in-betweenness here. Let's see if it clears up if I do another one, okay? All right, so Levi, how did you solve this one?
Added 9.
Good.
And then I got less than 4.
M is less than 4, good. And then this one?
Minus 2.
Good. M is greater than negative 4. So you plotted negative 4 and positive 4.
Yeah.
Right? All right, so let's talk about negative 4. M is, that's going to be open or closed circle?
Open.
And which direction am I going to go?
To the right.
To the right, good job. And for M is less than 4?
Open into the left.
Open into the left. So my solution is where both are occurring, correct? So let's write a statement for that. I've got m. I always just do this one first. M is going to be smaller than this number, right? But greater than this number. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yes.
I would do this one first, and the signs have to match. See that? M is smaller than that one, but bigger than that one. It's in between the two of them. They're both open circles, so we don't have a line on either one of them. And then I just do my little set notation.
So if one of them closed and refill line.
Yep. And that's it. M, such that M is in between 4 and negative 4. That's all that says. Okay? You've never had to write it like that before? Okay, it'll get easier with more practice. Okay? Any more questions? So far, so good? All right. It's complicated a little bit. Now, this is written where it's already in between. Yes, Brenda. You could. In fact, based on what I just went through this last period, let's leave it that way. I'm going to tell you what it means, and then we're going to just leave it like this. Let's put this, let's talk about this for one quick second. This is stating I've got two different things going on here. I've got that, right? X minus 4 is less than negative 8. True? But don't I also have this situation going on too? So X minus 4 is, if I were read it from this way to this way, that sign would be what? It's just like this, guys. What does this say? It says X is greater than or equal to 2, right? This is doing the same thing. I just have my variable on this side, so let's switch it around. Let's put my variable on this side. So X minus 4 is what? Greater than or equal to negative 12. See that? It's stating two different things. This and this. I think I'm going to leave it like that. It's very, very important. Now, the way Brenda said was just leave it like this, which works just fine until you're having to multiply or divide by a negative. She's going to leave it like this, which is fine if you want to do that. She's going to add 4 to both sides and keep it in between like that. Right, Brenda? Which works. I think it's important to be able to understand that you've got two different things going on. I'm going to take this and rewrite it. I'm talking about that and this one. Okay? So when I add 4 to both sides, what do I get? If I add 4 to both sides, I get X is greater than or equal to negative 8. And when I add 4 to this one, I get X is less than negative 4. Let's get rid of this. And move my selector tool is not working very well. All right, I'm going to graph this. I've got negative 8 and negative 4. So X is greater than or equal to negative 8, goes this way. And X is less than negative 4, which is this way. So where are they both occurring? right in between. Okay, Levi, you're going to help me write this statement, okay? You ready? All right, so I'm talking about what variable?
X.
Such that x is in between. So what sign's going to go here?
The greater than 10 or less than?
Is x greater than negative 4?
Less than.
It's less than negative 4, right? And it's the less than sign, but when I'm reading it, it's x is greater than, right? It's x is in between. Don't worry about this sign. This sign will match this sign. They both match, right? The only other thing I have to worry about is this says or equal to. So I put a line underneath it. So I just bring that number down, put x in between them. Okay? Why don't you guys try this one? Do it exactly like I did. Write two equations, unless you're real comfortable with it the other way, and then solve for it. All right. So who is the brave soul that wants to tell me how you would write this? Philip. Perfect. Excellent. And good job. How'd you solve it? Subtract 4. We can do it all the way across, right? Subtract 4 from everybody. And what are you left with? Good job. And x is less than 3. All right, I'm going to put that on a number line. So what would be on this side? Negative 8. And what would be on this side? Positive 3. And x is greater than negative 8 or equal to, right? Closed circle going this way. And x is less than negative 3 goes this way. So my in-between statement is in between what two numbers? Negative 8 and 3. And what would my sign look like here? Less than, same sign, only this one has a line underneath it. And we're talking about x such that x is in between 3 and negative 8. Questions? Levi.
How did we turn those around to X plus X?
Why did we turn which ones around?
So now we have two equations.
Yes.
How do we put X, 4 plus X instead of X?
You could. 4 plus X? Oh, you mean this? Why did I switch these around?
Yeah.
I just did it by habit. I'm sorry. It should have looked like that. It should have been 4 plus X. What property tells me it doesn't matter, Levi? Okay. Good. Yeah, they're the same thing? I still got the same thing? That was absolute complete habit. All right. You guys good? Ready to move on? Okay. This looks scary, right? No? Good. Now look at this one first. So all I have to do is subtract 1 from both sides, correct? And I'm left with b is greater than negative 9. Let's look at this one. Cover this up. Put it in front. How would I solve for this? I could multiply everything by 4. You guys want to do that?
Yeah.
Get rid of the fractions? Couldn't I also multiply by negative 2 over 7? But you guys like get rid of the fractions and then deal with it? Let's do that. Perfect. So I'm going to multiply everybody by 4. No, you got to do it the same thing to both sides. You want me to do that? Sure. 2 times 2. He's being thorough. Let him be thorough. Good job. So this goes away, and this goes away. Now I'm left with, let me get rid of all this. Put this down here so we've got plenty of room. All right, so now I'm left with negative 7b is greater than or equal to negative 35. You're right. Negative 14, thank you. All right, now what? Yes.
Divide negative 14 by 5.
Divide both sides by negative 14. What happens when I divide by negative like that?
What's the sign?
My sign switches to greater than or equal to. So now I have b is greater than or equal to, isn't that 7 times 5, and this is 7 times 2? So I have, and this is a negative over negative, so 5 halves. Now, if you can't figure out what 5 halves looks like, yes, sir.
Yeah.
I didn't flip it?
No.
Thank you. Good job. Good job, Frankie. Okay. Now we've got to deal with the fact that we've got 5 halves. What is 5 halves? 2.5 or 2.5, right? You guys should be able to do that. 2.5. But if you don't like switching fractions like that, there is another easy way to do this. Let's unveil this. I'm talking about negative 9 would be way over here. 5 halves is a fraction, so let's just put a 1 and a 2. 5 halves, here's 1 half, right? Isn't this 2 halves? 3 halves? 4 halves? 5 halves right there. See how I did that? I broke them up in half, and I counted 5 of them. 1 half, 2 half, 3 half, 4 half, 5 halves. B is less than or equal to 5 halves. What about B is greater than negative 9? So that would be greater than, and then going this way. So I'm talking about all the numbers in between. Get rid of this. We're talking about B such that B is in between what? Negative 9 and 5 halves, but we're including 5 halves. Other than the fraction, are you guys starting to get this part?
Yeah.
A little bit better?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys try number 3. This one you got to split up, right? Talking about 2 different situations. Anybody need me to start it?
No.
I think some people do. So I'll give you guys a second to start it, and then I'll start it with you. Okay, so I gave you guys a second to start it. For those of you that think you know what you're doing, go ahead, keep going. For the rest of you, let's work this out. I'm going to write it over here. I've got 2 different situations. Which one do you want me to start with? The left side? Okay. Frankie wants to start with the left side, so let's cover up the right side. All right, Frankie, can you read it for me? What's the left side say? Let's do it for the variable on the right side. Uh-huh. No, is what? Greater than or equal to, or need it? Read it this way. Good. And let's look at the other side now. And that one's easy to read, right? Just like it is. N minus 3 halves is less than or equal to negative 7/8. How'd you start this, Frankie? There's fractions. What are you going to do with all those fractions? Multiply by what? On this one, what will we multiply by? 4? 2 would be the easiest. You could multiply by 4, just as long as you multiplied everybody by 4, right? Let's multiply by 2. That by 2, that by 2, and that by 2. What do I get? 2n minus 3 is greater than negative 7. What would I multiply these by? 8. Good. Multiply everybody by 8. What am I left with? 8n. This goes away, and what am I left with? They cancel, and you got 4 left over. So negative what? Negative 12 is less than or equal to, this goes away, and I'm left with negative 7. And we're still talking and. Both things occurring. All right, so when I solve this, I would add 3 to both sides. And I get 2n is greater than negative 4. Divide by 2, divide by 2, n is greater than negative 2. This one is add 12 to both sides. And I get 8n is less than or equal to 5. Ooh, that's not going to come out nice. So n is less than or equal to 5/8. What does 5/8 look like? Whenever you come to a point like this and you say to yourself, uh-oh, it's a fraction, and I've got to put that on a number line. What's the easiest thing, a real-life scenario, that you can use to visualize a fraction? I'm talking 2nd grade, guys. What did your teacher circle? Specifically a food? Pizza. So what does 5/8 look like? Right? Cut up into 4ths, that would be 4ths. Cut it again, that would be 8ths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5/8 is almost a whole pizza. Right? So if I were to put that on a number line, I would have n is greater than negative 2, so I got to have a negative 2. I don't have quite a whole. Right? So where would that be on here? Would it be here? Maybe a little bit more? Right about there? That would be about 5/8. Right? A little more than half? All right, so it's n is less than or equal to, so it'd be shaded in and to the left, but n is greater than negative 2 to the right, and I'm talking about my space in between the two. Okay, going back to Levi. What variable are we talking about? N, such that n is in between what two numbers?
Negative 2 and 1.
No.
Oh, wait,
5/8. And this is a solid line. How are you guys doing? Not too bad? Yes, no. This is called set notation. You should get used to seeing what this is and what it means. It means all the numbers, a set of numbers. Get it? Set notation, a set of numbers. The set of numbers that are in between negative 2 and 5/8. That's what that means. This is fancy. You guys need a second to copy this down? Okay, so let's talk about special cases. I'm going to do both of these, and then I'll have you guys write them both down. All right, so I've got two different scenarios here. I've got when x, let's change my color. I've got x minus 9 is greater than or equal to negative 14, and x minus 9 what? Is less than what? Negative 16. Two different scenarios. So when I add 9 to both sides, I get x is less than what? Negative 7. Over here when I add 9, I get x is greater than or equal to negative 5. Get rid of this. So if I were to graph that on a number line, here's negative 7, here's negative 5. X is less than negative 7, x is greater than or equal to negative 5. So when does that occur with both? No solution. There is no time where both things are occurring. This is happening and this is happening, right? They're going in separate directions. Now, if this was or, it would be all the numbers where x is less than 7 and all the numbers where x is greater than negative 5. But since it says and, I can't tell you when there's a number when it's both happening, right? They're never overlapping. Let's look at this one, and then we'll copy that other one down. How would I solve for this one? Subtract 9 from both sides, and I get n is less than 9. Add 6 to both sides, and I get n is less than or equal to negative 7. Let's graph that. Here's where n is less than 9. Here's where n is less than or equal to 7. Where can I say that both are occurring? Where they overlap. Everything from here and this way. Everybody see that? Are they both here? Are they both here? Are they both here? When it's and, you have to only shade the area where both arrows are occurring. So my answer to this would be this set of numbers, talking about n, such that n has to be less than or equal to negative 7. All right, copy those two down. All right, so using our whiteboards and clickers, let's do the first one. Let's do, Levi, which one do you want to do first? You want to write or you want to talk?
Right.
Okay, so A's are going to write, B's are going to talk. Let's see how you guys did. The computer's confused. Most of you said C. The answer is C. Let's check this one out. All right, so I'm going to separate these two. I've got negative 4k is what? If I'm going in this direction, what's that sign say to me? Less than or equal to 0, and negative 4k is greater than negative 12. If I divide by negative 4, I just divided by negative, right? I would get k is greater than or equal to 0. Correct? Got to switch that sign? This one, when I divide by negative 4, I just divided by negative, so my sign is also going to switch again. So I get k is less than, these become positive, 3. So k is less than 3 is here, and k is greater than or equal to 0 is here. So it's all of the values in between. So it looks like that. Let's try another one. Yes. Yes. I don't know if it's going to happen Wednesday.
On what we're doing now?
On what we're doing now. Okay, try this one. It won't be a test either, Frankie. It'll be a quiz. Let's see how you guys did. All right, let's see. We got conflicting answers here. Answer is B, which looks like this. A is in between 2 and 11/6. Okay? So let's work this one out, yeah? Okay. So I've got a plus 5/4 is going in this direction greater than negative 7/12, and why is everybody putting stuff away? Philip, take it out. And a plus 5/4 is less than or equal to 13/4. Okay, how'd you guys get rid of the fraction? Multiply by 12. Okay, I hear way too much shuffling. Nope. Wait till it's quiet. Nope, not putting stuff away. Thank you. And over here, what would I multiply by? People are still putting stuff away. So this becomes 12a. This becomes 3 times 5 is 15. Negative 7. And 4a plus 5 is less than or equal to 13. Okay, thanks guys. I'll see you tomorrow.